It was a cold and misty morning when Emily received the letter. She was alone at her apartment, sipping coffee and scrolling through her phone, when the sound of a letter being slid through the door caught her attention. There was no name on the envelope, just a strange, elegant script for Emily. Curious, she opened it carefully. The message inside was simple yet unnerving. Come to the old house on Maple Street. The mirror will show you what you need to see. A friend. Emily frowned. She had no idea who could have sent it. She didn't know anyone on Maple Street, let alone anyone who would send a cryptic letter. The thought of ignoring it crossed her mind, but something about the letter drew her in. She had always been fascinated by things that were just out of reach, things that made her feel unsettled. The curiosity gnawed at her all day. By the evening, she had made up her mind. She was going. The house on Maple Street stood at the end of a narrow road, surrounded by overgrown trees and an unsettling silence. The windows were dark, the door slightly ajar, as if it had been waiting for someone. Emily stepped forward, the gravel crunching beneath her feet. She pushed the door open and entered. The house smelled of dust and decay, and the air felt thick with neglect. Every floorboard creaked under her weight, echoing through the vast emptiness. As she walked through the halls, she could feel an odd sensation in the pit of her stomach, an inexplicable pull, urging her to go deeper. She reached the back of the house and found herself in a dimly lit room. In the center of the room stood an antique mirror, its frame ornate and gilded, reflecting the shadows in a way that felt unnatural. Something about the mirror seemed to beckon her. Emily approached cautiously, her reflection staring back at her from the surface. But as she got closer, she noticed something strange. Her reflection was not in sync with her movements. It seemed slower, as if it was watching her with a mind of its own. As Emily gazed into the mirror, she felt a chill sweep across her body. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows darker. Her reflection smiled at her, but she hadn't smiled. Her heart skipped a beat, and she stumbled back, horrified. "No, this can't be happening," she whispered, stepping away from the mirror. Her reflection continued to stare back at her, unmoving, as if mocking her fear. She turned to leave, but the door behind her slammed shut. The sound echoed through the house, and the temperature dropped drastically. Panic began to set in as Emily realized she was trapped. Her breaths came in shallow gasps as she turned back to the mirror, only to find her reflection was gone. Instead, the mirror now showed an image of a dark hallway. The image seemed real, like a place she had never seen before, yet it called to her. She hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward. The hallway from the mirror was now before her, dark and winding. She wasn't sure how the mirror had done it, but it had opened a door to this new space. Her legs felt heavy as she walked into the corridor, the floorboards groaning beneath her. She reached the end of the hall, and there was another door. This one old, rusted, and barely hanging on its hinges. A low sound echoed from within. It was almost like whispering, but not quite. Emily pushed the door open, her heart pounding in her chest. Inside, the room was filled with old furniture covered in dusty sheets, forgotten relics of a past life. In the center of the room was another mirror, this one larger, its surface fogged and smudged, as if someone had been touching it recently. The whispers grew louder. Suddenly, the mirror cleared, revealing a young woman. It was Emily, but the woman in the mirror wasn't her. Her reflection smiled at her with an eerie, knowing look. "You shouldn't have come," the woman in the mirror whispered. Emily stumbled back, her breath catching in her throat. She turned around to leave, but the door slammed shut, trapping her once again. She was no longer in control. The mirror seemed to have a life of its own, pulling her in, suffocating her. The reflection in the second mirror began to speak again, its voice distorted and hollow. "You have always been here." Emily's mind raced as the truth began to piece itself together. The woman in the mirror was not someone from her past. She was a reflection of her own fear, her own dark desires and hidden secrets. A version of herself that she had never wanted to confront. As she stood frozen in fear, the mirror's surface rippled like water, and Emily felt herself drawn into it. She reached out with trembling hands, but as she did, her reflection reached back. She was pulled toward the mirror, her body colliding with the cold glass. Suddenly, everything went dark. When Emily woke, she was no longer in the room with the mirror. She was standing in front of it. The room was empty, and the air felt thick with an oppressive silence. Her reflection stood in the mirror, but it was no longer her own. The reflection now wore a sinister smile, one that sent chills down her spine. The reflection in the mirror spoke again, but this time, it wasn't her voice. "I've been waiting for you," it said, its voice echoing around the room. The room around Emily began to shift, distorting as though it were being pulled into the mirror. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The reflection reached out of the mirror, its hand closing around her throat. Emily gasped for air, her body freezing as she was dragged into the glass, becoming a prisoner of the very reflection she had once feared. And as the mirror returned to stillness, the only thing left in the room was the reflection of the house, now forever trapped within. I never thought I'd dig through Craigslist for work. Not because I was too good for it, but because Craigslist had a smell to it. Like rot under floorboards. Scams, setups, people lured into places they never walked out of. But hunger strips away pride. It was 4 weeks after I got laid off from my receptionist job at a veterinary clinic. They said, budget cuts. I'd been living alone in a crumbling studio on the south end of Glendale, scraping by with leftovers and counting change. Rent was coming fast, and my bank account felt like a noose. When the panic got bad enough, I texted my friend, Ria. She always knew side hustles, flipping furniture, dog sitting, stuff under the table. She told me she'd babysat through Craigslist before. Check everything, she warned. Sometimes those ads aren't for kids. Sometimes it's bait. I'd babysat back in school
She
and
told me
thought
she'd
I could
babysat
handle
through
it.
Craigslist before.
Kids, cartoons, bedtime. How hard could it be? Most of the postings felt wrong. Broken sentences, bad grammar, too much money for too little work. Then I found one that looked clean. Need sitter this Saturday. 2 girls, 5 and 8, 6 p.m. to midnight. We're easygoing. $140 cash. Message for details. Thanks, Dana K. It was tidy, casual, safe. Dana messaged back quick, gave me the address, and said her husband would be home, but leaving soon. She sounded normal, even kind. A smiley face at the end of her note. I checked the address, 71 Willow Bend, a dead-end street tucked near the old rail yard. Run down, but not abandoned. I sent Rhea the details, just in case. Text me when you're in, she said. And if the vibe's wrong, walk out. Don't explain, don't apologize. The night came cold and windy. I pulled up at 5:50. The house was a squat brick thing, windows black, paint peeling from the shutters. A porch swing creaked in the wind. The light above the door flickered like it was dying. Something in me hesitated, but I knocked. It opened after a long silence. A man stood there, early 60s, tall and skeletal. His skin was pale, stretched too tight, eyes sunk into dark hollows. His clothes hung loose, jeans spattered with something dark, a shirt with holes at the collar. He smiled, but it never reached his eyes. "You the sitter?" His voice was dry, like dust in a throat. "Yeah, Dana said to be here at 6. He muttered, rubbing his jaw. "She just ran out with the girls. Should be back soon. Come on in." I hesitated, but stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Metallic, sour, mixed with bleach. The living room was stripped bare, just a stained couch and old newspapers stacked high. No toys. No shoes by the door. Ha! No sign of kids ever living here. He shut the door with a click that sounded louder than it should have. "You can wait in the den," he said, pointing down a shadowed hallway. I sat on the couch instead, forcing a smile. My phone buzzed. Rhea. "You good?" I typed back strange. "No kids here yet. Husband only." The man paced the hall, muttering to himself. Every few minutes he peeked in at me, eyes darting, lips moving like he was rehearsing lines. "She should be back by now," he said more than once. At 6:20, I stood. My skin was crawling. "Maybe I'll just reschedule," I said lightly. He stiffened. His voice cracked into something sharper. "No, she's here. She's downstairs." He gestured toward a door in the kitchen, half hidden behind a curtain. The handle was rusted, paint chipped. "She takes the girls down there sometimes. Games, crafts. Go on. She's waiting." The house had gone too quiet. I walked to the door, heart slamming, and opened it. A breath of air rolled up from the dark below, damp earth, rot and copper. My stomach turned. "Go on," he said again. His smile stretched too wide now, gums raw and teeth stained red. I froze. Behind me, the floor creaked. Something moved down in the dark, heavy, dragging, wet. A low moan echoed up, followed by a sound like claws scratching wood. I stepped back fast. "Actually, my ride's here. Sorry. I need to—" The front door was locked. My fingers slipped on the bolt as he whispered behind me. "You haven't even seen them yet." The sound from the basement grew louder. Not children. Not human. The stench of blood thickened in the air. The lock finally gave. I flung the door open and ran, his laughter chasing me out onto the porch. I didn't look back until I was in my car. He stood in the doorway, smiling with his ruined mouth, while something thrashed in the dark behind him. I drove until my lungs burned, parked in a gas station lot, called Rhea, sobbing. She told me to call the cops. I did. Gave the report, gave the address. They said I'd check. 2 weeks later, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hi there. Saw your babysitting profile. 2 kids, easy night. $140 cash. Let us know if you're free. Dana K." Same words. Same bait. Different number. I blocked it. More messages came. New numbers each time. Now, when I scroll job boards, I still see them. Same phrasing, same pay, different names. And I wonder how many others went inside, how many went down the basement stairs, and how many never came back. My story begins like many stories these days, on a dating app. I met her through Connect. Her profile was Jenny. She looked very calm in her photos. Nothing flashy, no heavy filters, no duckbill. Just a few selfies, a simple bio, and just enough sarcastic messages to keep me interested. We talked for 3 nights. Jenny had a dry sense of humor that I liked, and the way she responded made me think she wasn't like the other girls on the app. She wasn't overly flirtatious, nor was she trying to impress. And honestly, that won me over. She asked me to meet. I didn't even have to ask. That surprised me. She picked a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop on the edge of town. I got there 15 minutes early and waited outside, pretending not to notice every girl who passed by to see if it was her. Then someone stopped in front of me and called my name. It was Jenny, or it was supposed to be Jenny. I looked up. The woman standing there looked familiar, but wrong. She looked about 5 or 6 years older than Jenny in the photos. The face was similar, but everything from the jawline to the eyes was strangely off, like a faded, distorted version of the photos. Listen, I know I look different. Please don't leave yet. I'm not trying to be deceitful, it's just, I have a hard time showing who I really am. I don't think anyone would swipe on me if I didn't. She spoke. Her voice was shaky, almost pleading. She looked genuinely scared. I should have left. I should have said that this was an unacceptable deception. But I didn't. She wasn't unattractive, in fact. Beneath all that panic, she had a beauty of her own, more real than in the pictures. And the way she looked at me, as if expecting me to hate her immediately, made it hard for me to get up and leave. So I stayed. We ordered coffee. The awkwardness faded. She started making me laugh again, just like in the text. But there was something behind her words, like she was watching me closely, too closely. But what really caught my attention was her phone. It kept lighting up, call after call from unknown numbers. She didn't answer any of them. After the 5th call in 15 minutes, I finally spoke. Is it work? It's not important. I'm off today. I thought it was probably nerves. But then I noticed she was watching me from the corner of her eye, as if waiting for me to ask again. So I didn't. I just kept talking. After a few minutes, I asked her where she lived. Why do you need to know that? Jenny asked. Her voice was low. Not angry, but low, controlled, as if she were trying not to blow up. I backed away and said I just wanted to keep the conversation going. She didn't answer. 3 nights later, I was at home when she called me. No text, no warning, just a surprise call. I picked up. Hey, I need you to come over here. Please. I need help, Jenny said in a hoarse, panicked voice. I should have known better, but there was something in her voice that pushed me. It didn't sound manipulative. It sounded desperate. So I took my keys and left. Her house was on the outskirts of town. It took me 40 minutes to get there. The place looked like it hadn't been there in a while. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. And then the door opened. It was Jenny, but not like before. Her eyes were wide, her skin pale. No, it wasn't her. Who are you? I asked, horrified. My name is Mark. Jenny is my girlfriend. You were going to see her, but you saw me instead. I backed away, but Mark had a gun raised. Don't move. As soon as I heard that click, I acted. I didn't think. I lunged forward, knocking Mark over. We both fell to the floor. The gun flew out from under the sofa. Mark grabbed me by the collar and threw me into a table. The table shattered, splinters of wood piercing my hand. Mark lunged at me and punched me. I felt my nose shatter. I grabbed a piece of the broken table leg and swung it at Mark's temple. Mark screamed and fell. I crawled toward the gun. Mark kicked me hard in the ribs. I held my breath in pain. Mark pulled my ankle back, but I spun around, clawing at his face. He grabbed my wrist, twisting it until there was a crack. We were both bleeding. I kicked Mark in the chest with all my might, staggered to my feet, and searched for another weapon. I grabbed a nearby decorative tile, turned around, and slammed it into Mark's jaw. Once, twice, 3 times. Mark didn't move. I stood over him, dizzy, coughing, my whole body aching. I was about to call the police. But then I smelled something else. Not the original stench. Worse. Stronger. It was coming from the end of the hall. I shouldn't have gone any further, but I couldn't stop. The flashlight picked up plastic sheets on the floor, dried blood, and a mattress soaked in dark red. In the corner were large, black garbage bags tied tightly. Shakily, I walked to the nearest one and tore it open. Inside were hair and a chunk of scalp. The next bag was a neatly severed arm. Another had a lung wrapped in rags. I backed away, retching. I looked at another bag that had been torn open. A face stared out, blank and bruised. It was Jenny, the real Jenny. He hadn't just killed her. He'd cut her into pieces, arranged them. I shakily called the police from the porch. The police cars arrived, lights flashing. They arrested Mark, still breathing but barely conscious. I told them everything. They believed me. They found her ID, her clothes, her blood in every room. I deleted Connect that night. I never re-downloaded it. That day, I realized that things can always be worse than you imagine. Some people fake their profiles. Others become the profile itself. Under the light of a new moon, the clouds were as thin as gauze. The dirt road leading into the forest was so quiet that the sound of dry leaves sounded like bones scraping against each other. Alex walked ahead, the flashlight hanging from his backpack swaying, cutting a thin line of light through the fog. Maya followed closely behind, her hands cold, each step like she had to be pulled out of the mud. Leo walked behind, tripod and camera bag slung over his shoulder, his eyes deep but alert, scanning the surroundings like a sentry, silently counting his breaths to keep calm. They had read the worn-out diary, an anonymous priest written in blotchy reddish-brown ink about a village forgotten because of its debt to shadows. Maya stopped abruptly, grabbing Alex's sleeve. Do you feel it? Like someone hungry? Alex laughed, reassuringly in a light voice.
I don't know, guys. I'm getting a really bad feeling
Perfect
about
for a
this.
Halloween video. He raised the camera, panning around. Fog, trees, darkness. The lens caught a few specks of dust that shone like fireflies, or other things, small and staring back. Then the village appeared without warning, without a single light, without a puff of smoke. Only the air was heavy as a stone pressing on the chest. In front of the village gate, a rickety sign hung by a rusty string. Alex brought the flashlight closer. Burned black words were etched into the wood. The unharvested shadows will find the curious. Maya took a step back. Alex smiled again, but his eyes were trembling. He pushed the gate open. The hinges made a long, screeching sound, like someone sucking in a breath to contain the pain. Inside, the village streets were filled with mud and leaves. The doors were half open, like cave entrances. Alex led the group into the first house, its wooden floors creaking. The musty smell mixed with the smell of burning incense crept into Maya's nose, making her cough slightly. On the table, an overturned earthenware bowl still lay. Alex flipped the bowl over. Below was a black and white photograph, blurry and cracked. A group of people in brown shirts, holding sickles, standing in the middle of a rice field that had been harvested to the stump. Leaving the house, they walked deeper. Every strange sound began to creep around them, light footsteps behind them. But when they turned around, there was only mist. Sighs from the abandoned well, whispers mixed in the wind, like many voices overlapping. Not harvested yet. Alex leaned into each door, panting with hunting instinct. Blurred figures began to touch the edges of the frame, just the corners of eyes. But Maya
Alex,
could clearly
stop!
see a pair of eyes red as burning coals peering through. She grabbed Alex's hand so hard it hurt. Alex, stop. It's a trap. Alex stubbornly. I just need a few more shots. Suddenly, a window banged as if someone had crashed into it. All three spun. Behind the cracked glass, a face appeared for a moment. Hollow, eyes two dark red holes, mouth open but making no sound, then suddenly gone. Alex dropped the camera to the floor, the indicator lights still flashing. They gathered their things and ran to the middle of the village. There, a small square led into many crisscrossing alleys. Houses on both sides changed positions. Windows seemed to turn to watch them. Leo counted his steps, but the count kept slipping away, as if someone had broken the numbers in his head. A hand reached out from the void and grabbed Leo's wrist. Leo jerked, jumped back, the other hand flailing reflexively, leaving 5 long purple marks on his skin, like the marks of fingers without flesh. They were lost in a corridor, in the village. Maya closed her eyes, took a deep breath, trying to find a beat other than her own. And she heard it. Under her feet, in the ground, something moving. Like many hands crawling, searching for calves, ankles. Don't stand still, Maya whispered. They can pull if we stand still. They continued walking, and then the corridor suddenly opened in front of a small church, the bell tower broken in half, the clock face frozen at 3:13. Alex pushed the door. The smell of burnt incense came like a wave. On the altar, portraits were pasted on top of each other. Peasant faces, dark eyes, gentle but deep down were tired and resentful. Some of the photos were torn, revealing behind them were old words. Called to pay rice tax, didn't return. Strange disease after harvest. Missing in the well. The paper shook even though there was no wind. A dry bell rang from the broken tower, not knowing who had rung it. The candles in the church flickered, then flared up a little before going out. Maya held her head. They're coming! Leo grabbed Alex's shoulder. Go, now! But the crescent moon suddenly rushed out from behind the clouds, casting silver light on the broken window. And as the moonlight touched the church floor, from the dark corners, figures began to step out. A figure approached Alex, reaching out to touch his collar. He was lifted, his feet kicking into the air. A scream stuck in his throat, as if swallowed by the thick air. The smell of corpses and incense smoke, mixed with the smell of burning straw, lingered around. Alex was mumbling, his hands flailing. Leo let out a low growl, lunged forward, grabbed Alex's stomach, and pulled him back. He felt those dry, scratched fingers dig into Alex's skin like hooks. He pulled hard. Alex's body fell into Leo's hands like a sandbag, both of them rolling down the church steps. Maya, still holding her head, suddenly opened her eyes, grabbed the metal bracelet, put it on Alex's wrist, her hands trembling. "Alex, the number, the document in the diary." Alex gasped. He rummaged through his backpack and pulled out a piece of paper marked with a marker. On it, under the phrase, "Do not call their names," there was a short, hastily written and ugly verse. "The shadow demands its share. The person returns the favor. The black fire shines, the boundary opens. When the moon is a scythe, place the ring between the shadow and the bone. When the..." Maya recited in a whisper. She placed the Jiamchio ring in the space between the three people and the shadows. The ring did not touch the ground. It hung there, as if tied to something invisible. A very soft crack, like a tight string being cut. A few shadows dissolved like smoke. Only their red eyes fell like upside-down fireflies, extinguished in the air. The wall cracked open like a mouth. Portraits pasted on the wall fell out, flying around in the wind that came from nowhere. Breathing, the sound of wood groaning, the sound of people screaming from the ground. The passages outside, seen through the windows, seemed to change places, retreating when someone tried to step forward, sliding like the surface of water. "Not long enough. Just hold them. A little," Maya said, her eyes not leaving the circle. Leo lifted Alex up. "Which way?" Maya closed her eyes, feeling. Everything was like a moving maze, but there was a rhythm. The rhythm of the forest. She opened her eyes, pointing towards the side door of the church. They rushed out. The circle of judgment drifted along, following Alex like a black bird. Shadows spread out from both sides of the alley. A dry hand jumped up from the ground, grabbed Alex's ankle. He almost fell. Leo bent down and hit hard. The hand shattered into cold ash. "Don't stand still," Maya reminded. The shadows rushed forward, not slow this time. The circle of judgment shook, emitting a sound like metal rubbing against stone. Maya read the awkward words again, her voice starting to break. The largest shadow, probably the shadow of the old village chief from years ago, stretched out, its eyes red like two pieces of hot iron. It touched the edge of the circle and cried out. It took a step back, just one, but enough for the three of them to break free of the encirclement, dash through the broken fence, trample on rotting leaves, and breathe in the forest air. Leo ran ahead, then Alex, Maya. Behind them, the village stretched out, trying to hold them back with the alleys sliding under their feet. The wind came. The mist in the village was whipped back like a curtain. The shadows at the edges couldn't get through, their red eyes burning, then fading like dying embers. A long, long sigh, as if the whole village were exhaling. They didn't stop until they were deep in the forest. Leo plopped down, his back against the tree trunk. His hands were shaking, but his eyes were still alert. Alex put the camera on his lap, the light still flashing. I got it. he said, unsure. Maya hugged her knees, put her chin on them, inhaled the smell of damp leaves like medicine. "We're out," she whispered. "Temporarily." A week later, on Halloween night, Alex sat in his rented room, the window ajar, the sound of cars in the distance like a hazy river. He turned on the camera, reviewed the footage. In the frame, the fog shimmered beautifully like an effect. The door closed by itself, the window slammed shut, the hallway seemed to stretch out. Everything was there. The circle of judgment appeared in a few frames, black like a hole in the image. There was a very light knock on the door. He looked up. No one. In the silence, a very soft sigh passed by, as if coming from the corner of the wall. Alex stood up, walked to the window, pulled the curtains. Outside on the street, people were laughing, dressing up. Cheap witch and vampire masks danced under the neon lights. When he pulled the curtains back, in the reflection on the glass, Alex saw that behind him there was not only his shadow, there was also a thin, flat, long black streak, like a scythe leaning against the corner of the room. He turned around. The corner of the room was empty. Alex thought to himself, "Stress." The phone vibrated. A message from Maya. "Are you listening tonight?" Alex was about to reply, "Listen to what?" when he heard it. In the sound of the wind seeping through the crack of the door, an old sound crept into the room. Tired but persistent. Not harvested yet. Leo texted the group, "Don't be alone. Lock the door." Alex looked up at the door lock. It was still locked. Then he looked at the floor. There were a few small black dust particles, like ash, lying in a semicircle at the threshold. The circle of the orb had fallen back at the edge of the forest that night. But here, something had left the mark of another circle. Alex opened the cupboard, looked for the priest's diary. On the last page, under the red-brown ink, there was a new line. The ink still wet, the smell of burnt incense lingering. "They can't harvest the body. They will wait for the soul." He took a step back. In his mind flashed that red eye. The circle of the guardians may be temporary, but the border is real. He texted back, "Come to my place tonight. Stay. Stay." Maya replied with a moon icon. Leo replied, "I brought the rope." Alex smiled, half believing. What was the rope for? But then he remembered the moment they'd grabbed each other in the church. Perhaps that very bond was the only thing the shadow couldn't cut. Outside the window, Halloween bustled and then faded. Inside, 3 people sat side by side, candles placed around them, salt sprinkled on the threshold in a circle toward the window. "If they need a way out, give them a way out, not in," Maya whispered. Leo tied the rope around the 3 people's wrists, linking them like another circle, made of material so ordinary that even ghosts despised it. But ordinary is hard to break. Near midnight, when the new moon pierced the clouds once more, the whisper came again, clearer, as if someone was standing close to their ear. "Not harvested yet." Alex took a deep breath. "We are not your fields. You have been taken. We do not pay with us. If necessary, we will tell. We will name what happened." Maya nodded, eyes closed as if listening. Leo gently tightened the rope. The whisper receded a little, like an old man turning away, disappointed and relieved. The candlelight swayed, then stopped. At the doorway, the half circle of black ash faded. giving way to the yellow dust particles of the street. They fell asleep as the sky neared dawn. In his dream, Alex saw that field again. The harvesters bowed their heads, the horizon blurred like a stain. But this time, when he looked up, at the edge of the field was a small black line, thin as a thread, the forest. Many years later, every Halloween season, in university clubs or video channels, the story of the Goldie Guy. It was rumored that every 100 years, the village opened its doors to harvest souls. Some people said they saw flashlights swaying in the mist. Some heard whispers like thin knives cutting through the wind. Alex, Maya, Leo did not return. They promised each other, if one day they needed to, they would go together and only together. They still heard the very light sighs in the windy night, like endless memories. But somewhere deep in the forest, the village still lay there. The houses changing places like board chess pieces. The cracked statue looked down at the dry hands crawling across the brick floor. The crescent moon occasionally turned into a scythe, licking the bright line on the warning board in front of the gate. The unharvested shadows will find the curious. And it seemed, somewhere in the shadows, a black circle still hovered, waiting for the right person to place it between the shadow and the bone. Because the border only exists when someone stands there to say, enough. The St. Catherine's Sacred Heart Church in Kolkata is not only a place of worship, but also a dormitory for young nuns, girls who have renounced all worldly luxuries to serve God. After a few years of training, the nuns are sent to churches affiliated with the Sacred Heart Society. On the last Friday night of March, the prayer session took place in a solemn atmosphere. Mother Superior Agatha introduced a 23-year-old girl to the other nuns. This is God's special child, Helena. She will dedicate her life to God. From now on, Helena will live with us. But Helena's face was cold and deeply sad. She did not make eye contact with anyone, and when she looked at people, she showed no emotion. As soon as Mother Agatha finished her introduction, Helena quietly went back to her room. It seemed that she was not used to this environment. A heavy atmosphere surrounded her, making the other nuns feel strange from the first moment. The next morning, as the prayer began, the young nun Rena noticed Helena standing silently behind, muttering something in a strange voice, sometimes like a man, sometimes like a child. Rena shivered, trying to listen but couldn't understand. Helena avoided all eyes, as if hiding something inside her. That night, when the other nuns slept, Rena peeked through Helena's window. The sight gave her goosebumps. Helena sitting on a chair, her body twisted, her limbs knotted, her neck tilted to one side like a living doll. Suddenly, Helena turned her neck towards Rena. Her eyes were deep black. Her hair was tangled. Her teeth were black as if burned. Rena screamed, alerting Mother Agatha and the other nuns. What happened? Mother Agatha ran over in a panic. Rena pointed towards Helena's room. Mother Agatha looked through the window and was also shocked. Mother Agatha held the cross in her hand and walked towards Helena. Helena jumped off the chair and landed on the ground and started growling at Mother Agatha like a wild animal and stared at her. Suddenly, the cross slipped from her hand and fell. Immediately after, Helena's eyes turned black. Helena's fingers snapped back with a cracking sound, and Helena, like a beast, jumped on Mother Agatha and chewed the flesh on her hand. Helena stood there like a demon, clutching the flesh in her mouth, and Mother Agatha writhed in pain. After the attack, Helena turned back and sat on the chair and started muttering something in a strange voice. The sound coming from Helena's mouth was as if 2 or 3 people were talking at the same time. Hearing the cry for help, Father Dominic, who lived in the church, also came and saw Mother Agatha's condition and took her out. Everyone was shocked to see Helena in such a state. An atmosphere of fear also spread to the other girls. Father Dominic, the priest of the church, realized that this was not a normal thing. The other nuns were advised to stay away from Helena's room. He sprinkled holy water around her body, but blisters appeared on her skin every time the holy water touched her, looking like acid burns. After a while, Helena woke up and looked much weaker than before, moaning in pain. She barely had enough strength in her body to sit up. Her face was completely withered. Her body seemed to have collapsed. Seeing Helena's condition, Mother Agatha laid her down on the bed in the room. "Oh my God, she looks so bad. Let her rest here. The holy water will heal her." The next 2 days passed in absolute silence. Helena lay in bed, not eating or drinking anything, not speaking at all. After 2 days, she asked for water in broken words. At her mother's insistence, Helena was given water. Helena now looked a little more normal. It seemed that whatever evil spirit had really left her was now gone. Seeing Helena in such a state, Mother Agatha gently stroked her head. "Do you want something to eat?" Helena nodded in agreement, and then, after many days, Helena ate her fill. She kept eating, as if she had been hungry for countless years. As time passed, Helena's eating speed and eating style changed. Helena's entire mouth was numb from eating. After eating, Helena began to look a little different. Once again, her eyes began to change, and she began to mumble in a strange language. She said, speaking in different languages. Whatever she was doing at the moment was beyond her control. Before anyone could do anything, Helena had returned to normal. It was as if she had no idea what had just happened. Helena's behavior was becoming more and more bizarre with each passing hour. Mother Agatha and Father Dominic realized that they had exceeded their ability to deal with Helena. Helena would have to stay here until Friday, after which only Father Edmund could do anything. After a few days, Helena became extremely violent, screaming and making many voices at the same time. 3 days later, on Friday, Father Edmund arrived, and late at night, after everyone had gone to bed, the exorcism began. The deliverance began. Helena was tied to a chair. Crosses and burning candles were placed around her, and she was sprinkled with holy water, and then Father Edmund began to chant the incantation. Helena's pupils darkened again. A devilish smile appeared on her face. Helena was speaking many languages at the same time. Sometimes a child's voice could be heard from her mouth, and sometimes a thunderous man's voice could be heard. As Father Edmund continued to chant the incantation, Helena seemed to be in a rage. Suddenly, Helena screamed loudly, and at the same time, all the candles around her went out simultaneously. And then Father Edmund saw the ground between the cross and Helena crack. Helena screamed in horror. Her screams became so loud that no one could bear it. Suddenly, Helena's body began to stiffen violently, and at the same time, Mother Agatha's eyes also turned pitch black. "Come on, leave me alone. I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything," Mother Agatha said in a scary voice. A year ago, Helena had experienced a tragic event. She was the victim of a family murder during an ancient ghost-worshipping ritual. At that time, an evil spirit and demon summoned from the ritual possessed Helena, causing her to be haunted since she was young. Helena was lucky to survive, but the demon spirit still followed her, making her always feel like someone was watching and emitting strange mumblings. Hearing this truth, everyone understood that guilt and despair were the reasons why the demons possessed Helena, and that she did not naturally become ferocious. Father Edmund continued the ritual, sprinkling holy water continuously, chanting the incantation. Helena screamed violently, her body stiffened, her eyes turned black, and a ghostly smile appeared. Every time the holy water touched her, blisters appeared, but the power of the incantation gradually suppressed the demonic force. Finally, Helena fell down, exhausted but still alive. Helena was taken to the hospital to recover. Her face and body were withered, but her soul was saved. Father Edmund said that this was the most important exorcism in the dormitory, and everyone who witnessed this event shuddered to remember it forever. St. Catherine's Church closed for a while to return to peace, but the memory of Helena and the demonic force that possessed her still haunted the nuns and priests, causing them to lose sleep every night. Helena continued to be closely monitored, and her story became a living horror legend in St. Catherine's dormitory. I've been hiking solo for about 6 years now. At this point, I'm comfortable enough in the wilderness that I don't feel the need to stick to the main trails anymore, which is probably what got me into this situation in the first place. This happened last October, in the remote corners of the Monongahela National Forest in West Virginia. I'd driven up from Virginia for a long weekend, planning to hit some of the more secluded sections that didn't get much foot traffic. Kind of place where you can disappear into the woods for days and not see another soul. The weather was perfect, mid-50s with an overcast sky, but not a drop of rain. A little chill in the air, but nothing that made me uncomfortable. Just the kind of weather that makes the solitude feel all the more special. I was about 4 hours into the hike when I came across what I can only describe as a gorge. It wasn't a massive canyon or anything, but it was deep, maybe 30 or 40 feet down to a rocky bottom, where a small creek ran. It looked manageable enough if you fell, though you'd probably break something if you weren't careful. The walls of the gorge were steep, and I could tell they'd be impossible to climb. There was a massive fallen oak wedged between the two sides of the gorge at a slight angle, thick and sturdy. The bark was worn smooth from years of use by hikers and maybe wildlife, creating a natural bridge across the divide. I inspected it for a few minutes, testing the stability. It seemed solid enough. I took my time crossing, carefully maintaining my balance. It was the kind of tightrope walk that gave me a rush. I made it across safely, and once I was on solid ground again, I felt a little more alive from the adrenaline. But just as I was about to let my guard down, I heard it. A rhythmic thunking sound from behind me. It was faint at first, but unmistakable. I spun around, my heart racing. Across the gorge, standing maybe 10 feet from where the tree met the bank, was a man. He was older, probably in his 50s, wearing a ratty camo jacket and old, worn-out jeans. His scraggly beard and rough features made him look like a stereotypical mountain man or lumberjack. At first, I didn't register what he was holding, but then I saw it. An axe, a full-size axe, worn with age and use. I froze. Maybe he was just a lumberjack, out working in the woods. But something about the sight of him didn't sit right with me. The man didn't seem to notice me. He just walked to the base of the fallen tree and started hacking at it with the axe. Each swing made the tree groan in protest. I shouted across, asking him what the hell he was doing. He didn't respond. He didn't even look up. I kept yelling at him, but he ignored me. I watched in horror as one of his swings landed deeper than the others, and the tree shifted. The sound it made wasn't normal. It was a sickening creak, as if it was about to give way. "Stop!" I yelled. I just crossed on that tree. But he didn't stop. He swung again, harder this time. It dawned on me. He was deliberately trying to break the tree. He was trying to trap me on the other side of the gorge. I shouted louder, insulting him, hoping to make him stop. But the more I yelled, the more it felt like he didn't care. Maybe he was just a madman. I screamed even more, trying to get him to listen. Finally, he paused. For the first time, he looked up at me, his face expressionless. And then, in the calmest tone imaginable, he said, "That's not my problem." The words hit me like a slap in the face. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't just what he said, it was the way he said it. Like I was nothing but an annoyance. I'm not proud of what happened next. I snapped. I started screaming at him even more, my voice rising with each insult. At that moment, I was so furious that I didn't care about the consequences. Something I said must have hit a nerve. The man suddenly stopped swinging his axe, set it down on the ground, and took a few slow steps toward the edge of the gorge. His face came into clearer view, and it was like a punch to the gut. His eyes were sunken, dark circles under them, as if he hadn't slept in years. His skin around his eyes looked bruised, almost black. He leaned over the edge, and in a whisper that sent a chill down my spine, he said, "I know these woods a lot better than you do." The words lingered in the air, like a warning. My stomach turned, and I suddenly felt like prey. The tree was still wedged in place, but I could see the damage now. The edge on his side was splintered, cracked. I wanted to cross back right then and there, but there was no way I was trusting my life to that tree now. I pulled out my phone, but of course, there was no service. I felt more isolated than ever. I had to cut my hike short. Still, something felt wrong. Really wrong. I couldn't shake the feeling that the encounter was more than just a weird coincidence. It was as if he'd been waiting for me. But why? What did he want? I decided to move downstream, thinking I might find another crossing. At least that would bring me back in the direction I needed to go. But as I walked, the gorge only deepened. The gap widened, and the terrain became more impassable. I walked for what seemed like hours, and soon the sun began to set. Panic started to set in. I was lost, and I hadn't seen another soul for miles. It was getting dark, and I was now seriously considering whether I'd have to climb down into the gorge and back out, no matter how insane it seemed. Just then, I spotted something. A campsite. I felt a wave of relief. Maybe someone could help me. But the closer I got, the more off it felt. There were strange carvings on the trees around the campsite, symbols I couldn't decipher. Not like normal graffiti or initials. These were deep gouges, symbols that seemed older and more sinister. There were also odd objects scattered around, rusted tools, pieces of cloth tied to branches, and animal bones arranged in patterns. It looked like something straight out of a horror movie. I didn't stick around to investigate any further. My heart was pounding. I turned and hightailed it out of there, but then I heard something that made my blood run cold. Footsteps. Someone was following me. I stopped, spun around, and saw nothing. Just the darkening woods. But the footsteps didn't stop. They kept following, moving with the rhythm of someone stalking me. Every time I spun around, the sound would go silent. Then it would start again. I kept walking, but now my pace quickened. Whoever, or whatever, was following me was getting closer. I could hear their footsteps now, getting louder and faster. That's when I saw them. Two figures ducking behind trees, watching, waiting. I froze. I scanned the area. Then another figure appeared, further to the left. They had spread out, surrounding me. I was being herded. One of them was holding a pipe. Another had a club. They weren't trying to hide anymore. They were moving freely, as if they knew I was trapped. I didn't wait to see what they wanted. I turned and ran, adrenaline coursing through me. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, and the woods had turned pitch black. I was lost and running, terrified for my life. I ran for what felt like forever, my lungs burning. The figures were close now, screaming behind me. War cries, primal, terrifying. Then, just as I thought I couldn't run anymore, I saw it. Another fallen tree. Smaller than the first, but it would have to do. I didn't even check its stability. I just climbed up and started crossing. The tree groaned beneath me, but it held. I reached the other side and turned around. The three figures were there, watching me. They were filthy, covered in dirt, their eyes wild and feral. One of them stepped forward, placed his hand on the tree, and looked at me like he was about to cross. But he stopped. "Get out of here," one of them spat, his voice like gravel. "You got lucky." That was all I needed to hear. I didn't need a second invitation. I ran, the sound of their footsteps fading as I pushed through the woods. The darkness was suffocating. My mind was unraveling, and I was fighting a full-on breakdown. But somehow, I managed to find the trail again. I don't know how, maybe by sheer luck, but I finally stumbled out of the woods and back to the trailhead. I reported what I could when I got home, but I knew nothing would come of it. What would they do? What could they do? It's been months now. I still hike, but it's not the same. The joy is gone. That first man with the axe, the way he spoke to me like he knew exactly what was going to happen, like he'd orchestrated the whole thing. It haunts me. I can't shake the feeling that I narrowly escaped with my life that day. That if I hadn't run, if I hadn't made it across that second tree, I might not be here right now. And sometimes, when I'm out on the trail, I still feel like someone's watching me, waiting. And I wonder, who else is out there in the woods, waiting for their next victim?